In the small town of Alkaloo, South Carolina, where railroad tracks draw an invisible line between black and white neighborhoods, a tragedy was about to tear apart the fragile fabric of the community. It's 1944, in the midst of World War II. In an America where racial segregation dictates every facet of life, tensions simmer. But in Alkaloo, residents seem to coexist, at least on the surface, until that fateful day of March 22nd. That evening, as the sun dipped over the dusty fields, two young girls, Betty Binnicker, 11, and Marie Thames, 7, set off on their bicycles, carefree, in search of passionflower blossoms, those maypops that children loved for their games. Their mother, worried but trusting, hands them a pair of scissors and gives them half an hour to return before supper. Minutes tick by, then hours, and the girls don't come back. Panic grips Betty's mother, who alerts the police. Soon, the entire town rallies, black and white side by side, scouring fields, woods, and alleys in a rare, desperate wave of solidarity. But the next day, March 23rd, hope crumbles. The lifeless bodies of Betty and Marie are found in a muddy ditch behind Grimstead Baptist Church. On the African-American side of town, their skulls have been shattered with unimaginable violence, likely by a heavy object, perhaps a hammer. The bicycles lie nearby, one of them mangled, its broken wheel placed on Betty's chest like a grim ornament. The autopsy reveals the horror. Brutal trauma to the face and skull, but no signs of sexual assault, though faint bruises on Betty raise questions. The savagery of the crime shakes Alkaloo, rekindling racial tensions that coexistence had tried to suppress. The police, under pressure, launch a frenzied manhunt. The bodies were found near the African-American neighborhood, and suspicion quickly falls on the Stinney family, an ordinary black family. The father, employed at the local sawmill, lives with his wife and their children. Johnny, 17, Charles, 12, George, 14, Catherine, 10, and Little, 8. The girls, it's said, had crossed paths with George and near their home, asking where to find maypops. Without solid evidence or a credible witness, Sheriff Newman decides to arrest George and Johnny. Why them? No one really knows. A rumor, a vague someone told me is enough. The two brothers, both minors, are hauled to the station without their parents being notified. A blatant violation of the law even back then. Johnny, the elder, stands up to the officers, boldly proclaiming his innocence. But George, frail, shy, barely a teenager, is terrified. His eyes widen under the harsh glares of the police. His breath catches as their questions press down on him. Stammers. Lost. A child facing adults, determined to extract a confession. George, at 14, is a quiet boy, known for his gentleness. Born in Alkaloo, he dreams of friendships without barriers, sketching airplanes in a notebook he carries everywhere. But in 1944 America, his black skin makes him an ideal scapegoat. The interrogations are brutal. Denied food, water, and bathroom access, George buckles under the pressure. They promise him a meal if he confesses. Exhausted, starving, he signs a document he doesn't even understand. A supposed confession claiming he used a piece of metal, perhaps a crowbar, to kill the girls. They feed him an absurd story. The girls attacked him, and he fought back, killing them in a panic. No witnesses, no physical evidence, not even the murder weapon, which is never found or presented. Yet, for the sheriff, the case is closed. George is the culprit. End of story. The news spreads like wildfire. George Stinney, 14, is charged with double murder. The Stinney family, devastated, is shattered. The father is fired, the family evicted from their sawmill-owned housing. Harassed and threatened by white supremacists, they flee Alkaloo in the dead of night, leaving everything behind, including George, abandoned to his fate in a cold cell. The parents knock on every door, associations rally, but nothing works. The judicial machine, relentless, accelerates. The trial is set for April 24th, barely a month after the murders, an unusually swift pace. George, isolated, is barred from seeing his family. The jury, all white, in a town where blacks have neither voting rights nor access to the courtroom, is already convinced of his guilt by the newspapers. The courtroom is packed, a hostile crowd of over 1,000 people spitting on George as he crosses the yard. A frail child surrounded by angry adults. The trial, a sham, lasts barely 5 hours. George's lawyer, Charles Plowden, a tax attorney with no criminal law experience, does nothing to defend him. He doesn't challenge the coerced confession, the missing weapon, or the inconsistencies. He doesn't call George's little sister, who swears she was with him all day. Plowden, running for local office, doesn't want to upset the white public. The prosecution presents two contradictory stories, one based on the confession, the other painting George as a calculated predator. No evidence is produced, but the jury needs only 10 minutes to sentence him to death. At 14, George becomes the youngest person condemned to the electric chair in the United States. On June 16, 1944, less than 3 months after his arrest, George walks to his death. His parents finally allowed to see him, embrace him in his cell. His father, threatened with lynching, is kept away for his safety. George, trembling, clutches a Bible or perhaps a phone book, depending on the account, to prop up his small frame on the oversized electric chair. The generator, outdated, lacks sufficient power. When the current is switched on, George screams. The mask on his face slips, revealing his tears and saliva. Spectators, horrified, watch a child writhe in agony. 2,400-volt shocks aren't enough. His hair catches fire, his face contorts in pain. 8 excruciating minutes pass before an officer, unable to bear his cries, shoots him point blank. George, unrecognizable, his face burned, finally dies. He is buried in an unmarked grave, nameless, like an outcast. The story could have ended there, swallowed by the war and oblivion. But decades later, a local historian, George Frierson, stumbles across an old article. Driven by passion, he digs, unearths the details, and exposes the injustice to the world. In 2013, attorneys Steve McKenzie and Matt Burgess reopen the case. A new hearing is held in 2014. George's siblings testify. He was with them that day. The reverend who found the bodies notes the absence of blood in the ditch, suggesting the girls were killed elsewhere. A former cellmate says George always maintained his innocence. No physical evidence, no fair trial. Judge Carmen Mullen overturns the conviction, calling the punishment cruel and unusual. But for the girls' families, the pain lingers. They still believe George was guilty, citing schoolyard rumors and a dubious 1995 testimony. What if George wasn't the killer? A persistent rumor points to another suspect, George Burke Jr., son of the wealthy sawmill owner, where George's father worked. Never questioned at the time, recalls a lumber truck passing by them that day. Some whispered that Burke Jr., who died in 1947 of kidney failure, confessed to the crime on his deathbed. His own son, Wayne, reportedly confirmed it. The land near the ditch belonged to the Burkes, and the broken bicycle wheel might hint at an accident caused by a truck. But these are just whispers, never proven. The case remains unsolved, a double crime, the girls' murders and George's execution, into America's dark history. Today, George's name finally graces his gravestone, a small, posthumous victory. This story is one of glaring injustice, of a child sacrificed on the altar of racial hatred, and of a truth that still eludes us. If this tale has shaken you, if you want the memory of George, Betty, and Marie to live on, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment to share your thoughts. Together, let's keep exploring these true stories, as harrowing as they are, so we never forget.